Watch the white thing. Is there not much? Oh, there's someone coming. Oh. Nothing. Okay. Thought that was like a stick and shake. At first, looks like a stick and shake. Just a car wash.
In 1/10 of a mile, make a slight right turn onto I-49 North and then turn right.
She's talking again. Make her stop. Slight right, then turn right.
Make a slight right turn now and then turn right.
See, if I turn right now, then there. Whatever.
Turn right onto I-49 North towards Rogers now.
Why is she talking? Now. It's the top, that's why.
Proceed on I-49 North.
Yes. She's getting to talk. She's enjoying it. One, because I'm live with the phone. Otherwise, the other voice would talk. The other voice in my head would talk. Your phone has a voice. It's more annoying than this voice. Yeah, well, that's because I'm British. No, that's my phone. It's because it's from here. What is that? Back out of here, man. Get some french fries. We need some more french fries. Huh? We need some more french fries. Okay, just a minute. Get my ways up. One thing at a time. Good morning, Donald in New Mexico. Good to see you. Yep, we're still on the road. We're heading towards Kansas City as we speak from Fayetteville, Arkansas. We decided, even though it was only 5.5 hours from Louisiana, we spent a lot more time on the road than expected. So we had to take it. We had to call it last night in Fayetteville. So we're back on the road, heading north of I-49 now. We'll be in Kansas City here in about 3.5 hours, just in time for dinner. Yeah. For a little early dinner. Gibson barbecue. We had a chance to Foursquare. My Mrs. Souser uses Foursquare for reviews and stuff, and so she had a chance to Foursquare the two. Hey, America, Silver Patriot, good to see you, my friend. So we had a chance to. She had a chance to Foursquare and compare the two between what Woodsy was saying for Gates Barbecue in Kansas City and what Heather was recommending for Barbecue Joe, which was Joe's Barbecue, also Kansas City Barbecue. And Foursquare actually recommended Joe's over Gates, so we're going to go to Joe's tonight because they're actually Joe's is actually closed on Sundays, so we're going to go to Joe's tonight for barbecue. And Foursquare had higher recommendations for them, and the food just looked better on the pictures, so that's what we're doing. Yep, we are driving America. We are en route from Fayetteville, Arkansas to Kansas City. We're on a very long road trip. We left from Louisville, Kentucky Monday night, stayed the night in Nashville for a couple of nights, and then we went to Louisiana, stayed a couple of nights in Louisiana, and we're heading north now since yesterday morning. So we stopped at Fayetteville. Arkansas last night just to get off the road. I wasn't tired. I was just tired of driving, if that makes sense. So I just wanted to get off the road for a while. So we stayed the night at Fayetteville, and then we jumped back on this morning and on our way to Kansas City now. Yep, Oklahoma Joe's. I don't think that's the same one. That Heather.
Yeah.
It wasn't. Okay. Yeah, that's.
Oklahoma's the same as that one.
All right, that's the one that. That's the one that Heather was recommending. Was Joe's, and that's the one we're checking out. We're actually checking out the one at the corner of 47th and Mission Road. There's like 3 of them there in Kansas City, and the one on 47th and Mission had the highest number of reviews and a very high rating. So, like over 11,000 reviews. So that's obviously the one that's most popular. So that's the one we're checking out. So Oklahoma Joe's and Joe's Barbecue, same thing.
Yeah.
Okay.
They're related.
Oh, okay.
Franchises, whatever you want to call them. When I looked them up, they were both on the website.
Yes, it is pretty green here, Donald. The leaves haven't started changing yet, at least around here anyway. As we keep going north, eventually we're going to make it all the way up to Fargo, North Dakota. I imagine the leaves have turned up there. We'll find out. The game plan for tomorrow is we're going to leave Kansas City and we're just going to head north as far as north as we can before I'm tired of driving, and then we'll call it. It's 8 hours or 8.5 hours from Kansas City to Fargo. Or 9.5 hours, something like that, from Kansas City to Fargo. So we're going to go all the way up to Fargo, and I'm sure we're going to see this. I'm sure we're going to see the leaves turn and all that en route as we keep going north. But yeah, there's not a whole lot of turning of the seasons around here, at least not yet. Now I do know we want to get out of this area by tomorrow night, because I guess they're predicting some pretty nasty storms in this area. That, of course, that's probably like every day. But they're predicting some pretty nasty storms tomorrow night, so we're going to get out here first thing tomorrow morning. Drive 8 or 9 hours, however long it takes to go as far north as we can, and then call it, and then we'll eventually make it up to Fargo, and then we'll head back through Minnesota and Wisconsin and home.
Hey, the Duluth Trading Store out here. I love that store.
Yeah. Slowing down a little bit. I expect things will start going up. Yeah, you're probably right there, Donald. If deliveries are slowing down, it's all about supply and demand. If the supply is drying up a little bit, then of course, premiums go up. That's just how it is. And of course, demand hasn't changed. Demand's still great right now, so premiums will stay high, unfortunately. Because I'm sure there's not going to be any increase of supply. I'm sure that's not going to happen. So that's true, Donald, but I don't want to sell my stuff. At least not yet. I'm still several years out from selling my silver. And we're talking about prices going up everywhere. And I'm sure that's part part of the inflation model too. So we go to McDonald's this morning for 2 meals, a Big Mac meal and a chicken sandwich meal. $18. And every time I see that now, all I can think of is inflation, inflation, inflation. It's here. It's here. It's not going away anytime soon. You know what's funny about that, Donald, in America is prior to getting into this community, I guess I never really saw it, or it wasn't nearly as prevalent in life, I guess, until this past year or so. But I didn't start noticing the prices going up as fast as they have been until the last probably 6 months or so. Now I'm seeing it. Now is that from being conditioned because I'm in this community? I don't know, but I think outside of this community, I think I would have seen the prices go up if I wasn't part of this community. I think I probably would have seen the prices go up anyway, because I mean, hell, hey, yeah, I'm cheap. Exactly, Mrs. Sushi. I'm cheap. The $18, $19 for 2 combo meals that I'm sure I could have gotten for less than $10
Before, yeah.
Before, yeah, it's
The chicken sandwich was the upper menu.
So the combos are not as cheap as they used to be, and yeah, it's here. Inflation is here, so if it continues to go up like it has been, we're definitely going to be seeing some very high prices and premiums or in spots and precious metals. And I'm sure the premiums will follow suit until it gets to the point where people get tired of paying so much money for premiums for spot. Hello, Barbara Capone. Good to see you, my dear. Yep. Still on the road, Barbara. We are now north of Fayetteville, Arkansas, on enroute to Kansas City. We need to be back home by Thursday night because Mrs. Hoosier goes back to work next Friday. So I thought we had till Monday, but no, we gotta be back. We gotta be back home by Thursday night, so she can go to work next Friday night. So 6 days on the road, and I figure we'll be stopping 3 or 4 more times before we call it. So that works out. We should get home by Wednesday night, Thursday. Well, I don't know. I've never been there either, Barbara. We'll find out. I mean, one of the reasons why I stopped, I wasn't tired. I wasn't tired yesterday when we stopped in Fayetteville. I was just tired of driving, if that makes sense. So, and I know there's some scenic areas north of here, so I want to drive through while it's daylight, so Mrs. Susher can get some pictures because she loves taking pictures. So I want to drive through while it's daylight so she can do that. Plus, not in a big rush. But last night I was just tired of driving. Like I said, I wasn't tired per se. I just wanted to get off the road and call it last night. So we just found a cheap hotel. Got back on the road. No sharks in Kansas City. Yeah. So here's a question while we're talking about precious metals and premiums and spot inflation. Do you think a demand for precious metals, shelter of the strips are here? Do you think the demand for precious metals will ever come to the point where it's just not affordable anymore? You know, everyone talks about $50 silver and $3,000 gold or whatever. Do you think it'll ever get to the point where, you know, when you factor in inflation and premiums and spot and things going up, do you think there'll ever be a time where it's just not practical to stack anymore? Of course, I'm sure 20 years ago, when silver was probably $4 or $5 an ounce, or however much it was, I'm sure people had the same question when prices got up to $20 silver. Is it really practical to stack silver at $20 an ounce back when it was $20 an ounce, when spot back in those days was like $5 an ounce? I'm sure the same question was raised then. So here we are, probably asking. Here I am asking that same question today. Is it practical to be stacking silver once the price gets to like $50 an ounce? I mean, is it really practical from a affordability standpoint? Does it make any sense? I mean, I guess the biggest question is there ever going to be a cutoff point where demand will start slowing down because it's just too damn expensive? You know what I'm saying? Yeah, it's always practical to stack, Barbara. But I mean, is there ever going to be a point where it's just not going to be able, if people are going to be able to not be able to afford it in the future? That's the question. Again, 20 years ago, I'm sure the same question was raised. But well, perfect example. You know, I'm on the fence now between going with 1 ounce gold or
Proceed 5 miles on the current road.
or go with fractional gold, because it's more affordable for me to get fractional. Now I realize the premium's higher, but it's more affordable for me to go with fractional than it is 1 ounce. I can shell out a quarter ounce gold, you know, $500. I can shell out $500 compared to 2,000. So that's true, Donald. I mean, the silver prices, I don't know. I think if I could afford it, I would just go with gold all the time, but I just can't. And what I'm thinking, Barbara, is just slowly creep up, and you know, if that's the case, you know, people may just be blind to the prices, you know, because the fact it goes up so in such small increments. But you know, again, 20 years from now, you know, we're going to be questioning ourselves, well, why didn't I buy, or why didn't I convert more frac or fiat less than $30 an ounce? You know, now 20 years now, when the price is up to who knows how much. Of course, 20 years may not be around by then, but 10 years from now.
Did we need to get a video in Missouri?
Yeah.
Okay. I was thinking it was marked off.
So I think we're still on the interstate.
Yeah, it's like continue on I-49.
Okay.
That's I-30.
Trump 2024. There's a flag in Arkansas waving next to the American flag. It says Trump 2024. People have not given up hope yet. Yes, that's the size of RV right there. It's a class C, but it's not like too big. I think for just you and I, it's more than enough room. And it's also a Mercedes. I think those are little sprinters.
In 0.2 of a mile, make a slight right turn. Make a slight right turn now. In 0.4 of a mile, turn right onto AR-72. Proceed 3 miles on the current road.
I think we got turned away. We got off the path.
She didn't tell you.
I know. It looks like an interstate.
No, we're on 49. My Waze is showing 49. So you're right there. 49.
All right, we're still on the interstate. Good. This map on the car is outdated. That's why this map on the car has not been updated. So at one time, this used not to be an interstate. Now it is. If you look at it, it's relatively new too. So it's a new bridge, new road. So once we get to Kansas City, we gotta find a hoodie for Mrs. Hoosier. We got a Missouri hoodie a while back, a few years ago, when we did our barbecue road trip to Texas, 2016, 2017, something like that. We took the long way home and we drove all the way up into Missouri from, I can't remember how we got there, but anyway, we ended up driving up through into Missouri, into the boot hill of Missouri to pick up a hoodie, and then we came back across I-64 from Missouri into Illinois, and we picked up an Illinois hoodie on the way home, and then we went home. So we've already got a Missouri hoodie. We have not picked up a Kansas City hoodie yet.
In 0.3 of a mile, turn right onto AR-72.
And then we're going to then once we leave Kansas City, we're going to head up to Omaha, which is right there between Iowa and Nebraska. We're going to pick up, we need a hoodie from Nebraska, as well
Proceed
as
2 miles on the current road.
Washington. And then pick up a hoodie from Nebraska, and then one from Iowa. And then we'll keep heading north, pick up a hoodie in South Dakota. They're at Sioux Falls or Sioux City, one of the two. I think Sioux City is further north. Or no, Sioux Falls is further north. And then, so we'll pick up a hoodie in South Dakota, and then we'll eventually make it all the way up to Fargo, North Dakota. We'll pick up a hoodie there. And then when we come back through Minnesota, we'll pick up a hoodie there, and then one in Wisconsin, and that will be our hoodie run for 2021, and that will pretty much cover everything from the Great Plains states, including Texas, east, except for New Jersey and Delaware. We'll have to make a trip just to pick up hoodies in those two states. one of these days. Maybe fly over to New Jersey to pick up a flight to fly back over to Hawaii or something like that one of those years. So I know there's a flight from New Jersey to Honolulu. I'll pick up a fly over to New Jersey, grab a for a day, grab a
In 1/10
grab
of
a
a
rental
mile,
car.
make a slight right turn onto Rocky Mountain Road. In 3/10 of a mile, turn right onto Rocky Mountain Road.
She's confused because she thinks this.
In 1/10 of a mile, make a U-turn.
Are you talking?
Make a U-turn now.
Are you still talking? Stop talking. Silence. Hello, Brandon. Good to see you. I was missing out on all the chat. My phone wasn't scrolling up. Jaraboot. I just did. Hey, Perdita Johnson. Good to see you. How are you? All right. I shut her up. I silenced my car. So the road that we're currently on was not designated as a interstate at the time of the programming of the car's GPS. So it thinks we're on some back road. In fact, the map shows no record of this road whatsoever. We're driving in the middle of nowhere on the map. So she thinks we're out in the middle of the hills here, which is pretty nice looking actually. We're getting into hilly country. So this is definitely a newer road. Yeah, but I'm like going 75.
Just like that.
Already across the state line, looks like. Yeah, you're back in Missouri. Missouri, welcome to. So what's crazy about this interstate, it bounces between, so it basically parallels the state lines all the way north from basically Oklahoma all the way up to Canada. And this interstate is pretty much parallels that state line. So we bounce in between states all the time using this interstate. And as you guys can see, this is a relatively new interstate, extension of the interstate. A lot of fresh rock here, fresh asphalt, concrete. So yeah, since we're on the road for the next 3 hours, I decided just to I'm back. I had a refresh. I don't know, it's funny. Whenever I lose my video audio, I always have to refresh. Even though even though I may have my signal back, I always have to refresh the browser in order for the video to come back. So we're back. You guys missed us. Some really nice looking terrain back there, just a few miles back. And I'm not turning back around because I'll lose the signal. you guys will just have to make believe, imagine. I scared you. Huh? That's a really nice area back there, though. Where, like I said, looks like they took the interstate and they routed it around because it was all new asphalt, new bridge, new everything, new rock cut. So, and obviously a dead zone. So we are still northbound. So Copperal, I saw your question. We're actually, if you're still here, we're actually staying at a hotel near the airport tonight. But we are stopping at Joe's Barbecue there at 47th and Mission sometime this afternoon or this evening. We're about 2.5 hours away. So we'll probably go up to the hotel first, just get checked in, and then head back towards Joe's to pick up some barbecue. Or we might just stop by there on the way through to the airport or to the hotel, so we don't have to double back. Now, it was 2 recommendations for barbecue in Kansas City. I was asking for recommendations. Steve Woodsy was saying Gates Barbecue, and Heather was saying Joe's Barbecue. And Mrs. Hoosier, she uses Foursquare for all sorts of reviews of everything. And Foursquare recommended Joe's over Gates. The comments on the individuals' reviews were more positive towards Joe's. So we decided we're going to do Joe's tonight. We might double back after we check out tomorrow and swim by Gates, but I doubt it. Because since we're staying near the airport, there is no Gates. At least Google Maps doesn't show any Gates. Two establishments are Barbara, if I was you're not quite near this area. I know whereabouts you are because I keep sending you shinies from your winnings, either direct winnings or the winnings that Mateo keeps giving you. I still got that nickel. I haven't shipped it out. I still got that nickel that you won Thursday, so I'll get it to you when we get back home. I don't know. I might find a post office over here and ship it to you from over here if I think about it. Get a postmark from Kansas City. Yeah, that was a 19. What was that, Barbara? I don't remember. 1971 Deep Cameo MS69 graded from the. I can't remember who the grading company was, but I supposedly it was a reputable grading company. It is a nice looking nickel inside a slab. So that was one of the bingo. That was one of the things that I went to my LCS a couple weeks ago with $100 and say, hey, give me $100 for the giveaway stuff, anywhere from $10 to $20, and that was one of the things that he pulled out was that deep cameo nickel. We are actually road tripping for hoodies. Several years ago, Mrs. Hoosier and I decided we're going to pick up an actual hoodie sweater from every state, and so we've been doing that for many years now. And so we decided on this road trip that we started in Louisiana, and we're just going north from Louisiana. So we picked up we picked up a hoodie from Arkansas, and then we stopped. And then we went to Louisiana. We picked up one in Louisiana because we the running list of the hoodies that we've picked up, and noticed that all the Great Plains states we needed hoodies from. So we went north from there. So we picked up one in Oklahoma. We picked up one from Arkansas. I said Arkansas. No, we picked up. So I'm losing track of where we've been. Arkansas, and then we're heading north now into Kansas to pick up a hoodie in Kansas. That's why we're heading towards Kansas City. Basically, just taking I-49 north from Louisiana all the way up to Fargo. Since that interstate basically parallels the state lines, it allows us to hit 2 states, sometimes 3 states, in one stop. So Kansas City, we pick up a Kansas hoodie, right? Like I said, we already have a Missouri hoodie. And then we'll head north, and then we'll pick up a hoodie from Nebraska. And then there at Omaha, then we'll cross the state line, we'll pick up a hoodie there in Iowa. And then we'll go north and pick up a hoodie there in South Dakota once we get to Sioux Falls or Sioux City. Sioux Falls. So once we get to Sioux Falls, we'll pick up a hoodie there in South Dakota. And then we're going all the way up to Fargo, North Dakota to pick up a hoodie there. And then we double back towards home through Minnesota and Wisconsin. We'll pick up hoodies in Minnesota, pick up a hoodie in Wisconsin. And that pretty much covers our hoodie runs from the Great Plains all the way down to Texas, because we picked up a Texas hoodie years ago. So I'll cover all the states from the Great Plains, including Texas, and then east, except for Delaware and New Jersey. And then we start working on the western side of the state. Now, we did pick up a hoodie in Colorado one time. We flew over there one time for a concert. And we picked up hoodies in Hawaii. Yeah, actually, Hawaii actually has hoodies, believe it or not, sweaters. But we picked up a hoodie there in Hawaii. And then but we're not driving all the way across to the western side of the country to pick up hoodies. We're going to fly to destinations there, because I'm just not driving all the way across the country for hoodies. Great Plains is about as far west as I'm willing to drive, because once you get west of here, once you get west of I-49, just, you're talking miles and hours and miles and hours of driving just to get to the next state. So we'll fly after this road trip. We'll fly to the western side of the country, like go to Wyoming and check out Yellowstone, and drive around Wyoming, Idaho, Montana, pick up hoodies in those areas, and do it again for Oregon, Washington, do it again for California, Nevada, Utah. Eventually I'll get down to New Mexico Might actually run into Donald one time in New Mexico. We'll see. And just Arizona. And we're just basically we're going to be flying from points west after this time. Yeah, and that's why I don't want to drive it, because I just know, driving all the way over to the western side of the country, just such a long drive. I mean, is it doable? Yes, but do I want to do it? No, because I know I eventually have to turn around and head back home. It's just as long, even though it feels like it's twice as long when you're heading back home after a road trip. At least going towards your destination is not so bad, but then you have to turn around and go home. So. So we are exit 24 on I-49, which I think is, we're still Missouri. Like I said, the I-49 jogs between the two states regularly, all the way up to Fargo. Looks like it bounces between the two states. At least it's close enough to where if we need to go, like for example, if we needed a Missouri hoodie, we can go up to Kansas City, pick up a Kansas hoodie, and then cross the state line there at KC and pick up a Missouri hoodie. Don't need to, but that was available if we needed to, but we don't need to. Just a Kansas hoodie. And same thing for Nebraska. Pick up a Nebraska, go to Omaha, pick up a Nebraska hoodie, and cross the state line right there and pick up an Iowa hoodie. So it's convenient. Hello, Rocky Mountain Live Prospecting. Good to see you. Sorry, I was yakking. Wasn't paying attention to the chat. I am driving. Robinson Prospecting. Good to see you, fellow. Who are you? Welcome. Just doing a road trip. Nowhere near southern Indiana. We are about probably 8 hours away. Even though we've been on the road since Monday, what's funny about that is even though we've been on the road since Monday, we're still only about 8 hours away from home if we needed to get home. So Kansas City, I know, is about 8 hours away from Louisville because a friend of mine used to be there in KC, and he came over to Louisville for a retirement dinner for someone, and he's like, "Yeah, it's only 8 hours away." So now this man used to live up in Twin Cities. He used to go home from Louisville routinely, which from Louisville to Twin Cities, Minnesota is probably, he said it was like a 16-hour drive. So he always had to stop halfway for the night. But for him, 8 hours is nothing because he used to do that regularly anyway. Those 16-hour days there regularly anyway. Practically once a month he would head home to Twin Cities for a weekend or whatever, then turn around and come back to Louisville. Eight hours from Kansas City to Louisville, Kentucky. This is I-49, Barbara. We are near Springfield. We're right outside Joplin, Missouri. That's whereabouts we are. We're about 13 miles outside Joplin, Missouri, on I-49. Barbara's tracking us. Are you sending your drones after me, Barbara? Is that why you're asking? You're sending your drones to track me down? Got your spy cameras that are pointing towards my general direction. There's a killer on the road. So yeah, this is probably going to be about the only time we ever go into the Great Plain areas. We might come back to Kansas City in the future. Oh, I guess we're slow down. It's multiple right here. Slow her down. Don't mind the police officer. I don't know what the speed limit is. I think it's 75 here.
It is 70.
70. Yeah. He's obviously off duty. She's obviously off duty.
Oh no, he's got Jennifer on his laptop.
Running license plates.
Or Facebook, on the two.
Don't mind a cop that we just blew past. Not really. Now that would be my daughter blowing past a state trooper in Indiana one time. She was probably going, I don't know how fast she said she was going, but she was going really fast.
They moved over for her.
Yeah, the cop actually moved over for her. She was in the fast lane. Cop was in the fast lane. He actually moved over for her, and she blew right past. lit her up, obviously. Gave her a ticket. I don't know how fast she was going. Yeah. She flew past him like he was standing still.
It was an unmarked truck.
Yeah, it's a white. Oh yeah, yeah. If anyone that goes through or lives in Indiana, if you see a really nice looking white truck on the interstate in the fast lane, most likely it is a state trooper because they like their white trucks, unmarked white trucks. So yeah, she flew right past. Yep, those were cows. Mrs. Hoosier's taking pictures of cows.
I was taking pictures of the barn.
Oh, okay.
Might be some cows in the picture. It's one of the old barns. So I quit speeding with all that cop back there and telling you're speeding.
Either she wasn't worried about me going 76 or 77, or she's all or he was 80. I thought I saw on the top here.
That was they got.
Okay. Yeah, that's on. Go towards your light. I'm back. That's on. One of the disadvantages, I guess, about being on T-Mobile. They don't have as much coverage as they advertise. As long as normally if you're on a interstate or a major highway or in a metropolitan area, T-Mobile's perfect, at least for me. But that's like earlier this week when we were trying to do the Natchez Trace Parkway there in Nashville. I didn't have to get very far I didn't have to get very far south on the Trace or on the Parkway before I lost my signal. That's just how T-Mobile is. But what's funny about that is as soon as I got off of the Trace onto an actual highway, which was like a couple hundred yards away, boom, full signal, so full scale. So T-Mobile's pattern, their coverage area is very, very highway driven, very metropolitan driven. They have very tight directional antennas apparently. Like as soon as I got off the Trace onto that highway, boom, full scale, full bar, 5 bars, whatever, and I was fine the rest of the way. Hey, we're in Joplin. Hello, Richard Metcalf. Good to see you, my friend. Welcome. Enjoy the cruise. We are outside Joplin, Missouri as we speak. I'm waiting for Jeff Crumper to jump on here and say, "Hey, meet me somewhere," but he must be in bed or something because Jeff Crumper lives about 50 miles away. I was waiting for him to want to try to meet up. He hasn't gotten back with me, so he probably doesn't even realize I'm driving through his area. But Crumper lives about 50 miles northeast of here. Or actually, probably less than that, more like 30 miles northeast of here. So, Richard, we're still on the road. Like I said, we're outside Joplin on our way to Kansas City now. So, enjoy the cruise. Still a little blah in scenery up through here. I don't think we start seeing some really nice scenery until we get north of Nebraska. Once we get in northern Nebraska, I think that's when the scenery starts to change. So we still got several hours there. We're gonna stop in Kansas City for the night after we get some barbecue, and then we're going to head towards Fargo tomorrow. Go as far north as we can tomorrow, and then call it. Get out of the area before the storms hit. They're predicting some really nasty storms in this area, and I don't feel like chasing tornadoes today, so I don't feel like being chased by a tornado. So get out of this area by tomorrow night. I guess the weather really starts amping up tomorrow night. That's true, Copperell. That's exactly what I encountered when we got off. Once we got back onto the highway, again, you get off the Trace there near Florence, Alabama. When we got off the Trace there near Florence, Alabama, onto I can't remember the highway number that goes east to west there. But as soon as you got onto the highway within 200 yards, boom, full signal. So, yeah, that's T-Mobile for you. My old home in South or West Central Indiana was the same way. Where we lived 2 miles off the highway, and as you were on the highway, nice strong signal, and the cell site was only like 5 miles away. Probably less than that, probably like 3 miles away. And as long as you stay on the highway, no problem. As soon as we turn off the highway onto our road to our house 2 miles away, boom, we lose our signal. Very directional antennas. I could actually step outside my house and see the lights of the tower, and I still wasn't getting the signal. That's how tight their pattern is when it comes to how they send their signal around. And it didn't matter what your provider was, where we lived at originally, our home. It was the same way no matter who your carrier was. But it was really nice to see the stars at night when we lived there. No light pollution whatsoever. Hello, NG Coins. Good to see you. So 100% like of all the people on here. Well, thank you for that. And yeah, sure, why not? Hit that, smash my thumb since I'm out here just driving around. Smash my thumb and show your love. I would appreciate it. Enjoy the drive for the next 2.5 hours to Kansas City, Kansas. That's where we're heading. Actually, Kansas City, Missouri is where we're heading. Our next stop is going to be Kansas City, Missouri. At Joe's Barbecue there, south side downtown, and then our far south side downtown, I guess, and then we're points north after tonight. See you later, Richard. Thanks for coming by, buddy. I'll be here for a few more hours if you come back in. A couple more hours anyway, 2.5 hours. Of course, that depends on how well my signal is maintained. See you later, Richard. Have a good day. Two more hours. See if they're tracking me. Dawn has 2 more hours. They have their cameras turned towards me. Okay, Barbara. Well, I'll be here for a couple more hours if you want to pop back in later. And we'll do it again tomorrow sometime. probably about this time tomorrow we'll start heading north and towards Fargo. And that'll be a really long trip there because the intent there is driving from Kansas as far as I can go north before I have to stop and rest. Try to get as to get as many miles in tomorrow to Fargo as I can, because from Kansas City to Fargo it's like 10 hours, I believe. So it's going to be a long day tomorrow, but that's all right. I don't mind road tripping. See you later, Barbara. Have a good day. Get your projects done. We've only been live for a little bit over an hour. It feels like it's been longer. 2 hours to go. Yeah. See you later, Barbara. So Barbara's like, hope Mrs. Hoosier finds herself some really nice hoodies. Or Mrs. Sue, they always say, oh, Toro, something. Stoplight on the interstate? All right.
That's what you to turn up here too.
That's interesting. Wasn't expecting a stoplight on the interstate. This must be the end of the interstate here.
The next one's
I think it just
yeah, 49 turns.
so instead of having like a bypass or a ramp or whatever, they just come to the interstate comes to a stoplight. Okay, you're going to turn left here.
49 and 79.
That's crazy. I've never seen an interstate come to a stoplight like this before. Everyone else is probably thinking the same way. He's not even waiting for that stoplight to change. Our towers are like, what the hell? Like, the interstate comes to a stoplight.
Couple comes to downtown.
Yeah, it just goes into, I think this is job. That's funny. Obviously, that portion of the interstate used to be a local highway that just drove into Joplin. That was different. Yeah, I'm easily entertained on. The interstate comes to a stoplight. Only other time I've seen that has been up in Gary, Indiana, where I-65. Basically, it's the north end of I-65, or the terminus, the northern terminus of the interstate. Not, yeah, I'm north of Gary. Technically, it was north of Gary. Basically, I-65 comes to an end where US 12, I believe, which runs east and west from basically a lot around the lake, around Lake Michigan. That's the only time I've ever seen a stoplight, but that was at the end of the interstate. I've never seen one in the middle of the interstate. That was different. It's almost like I missed a ramp or two. They kept us on an actual interstate. But, that was different. Well, it's like this particular interstate designator, Donald. It's very fractional. It goes from, I think it gets as far south as Lafayette, Louisiana, and stays at the interstate all the way up to north of Texarkana on the Arkansas side of the state line. It is known as I-49 all the way up to Texarkana. Goes around that city as an interstate and then terminates at a two-lane highway. The freeway actually ends. You can tell they have every intent of building that interstate further north from that point, but it terminates at that highway, at that two-lane highway out in the middle of nowhere. Well, not really middle of nowhere, north side of that town. And then you're on the two-lane highway for a couple of hours because we did that yesterday. And then the interstate designator, the actual interstate number, resumes once you get to Fort Smith, Arkansas. It becomes I-49. The road becomes I-49 once again, right there at I-40 near Fort Smith, Arkansas. And then it remains as an interstate designator, at least all the way up to here until just now, all the way up to that stoplight. 138 miles. All right, Don, I'm going to go ahead and drop. Of course, I'm not going anywhere. I can leave it running. That's fine. But we'll see how long the signal lasts again before I lose it again. I still got a couple hours to go, so I think it's just me now. Don, are you still out here, or is it just me now? Yeah, I think I lost my signal again. I think I lost the signal again, Don. I'm gonna go ahead and drop it if you can hear me out. I'll talk to you later. We'll be doing this again tomorrow if you want to come back. Hopefully we'll have better scenery for you to look at. I want to go ahead and I want to let this run, see if it comes back on its own. Otherwise, we'll see it tomorrow. So yeah, I think we lost it. I think we lost it. I think we lost it. Well, oh, there you are. I'm back. Go ahead. I have fun. I'm going to lose my signal here. Just looking at the signal. I barely have a bar now, so I'll talk to you later, Donald. Yeah, that's pretty cool, Copper Out. Didn't know you were still here. Yeah, that was pretty. I've never seen an interstate in the middle of the interstate stop at a stoplight and only to turn around and start back up after. Yeah, that's crazy. I mean, normally they build an interstate around the city or around an interchange like that. They don't build it into the interchange, into an intersection like a lighted intersection like that. It's nuts. It's crazy. Hey, red light, good to see you. Speaking of lights. Hey, red light, good to see you, my friend. Just on a road trip. We'll see how long my signal lasts. I barely have a bar here, but we are northbound from Joplin, Missouri, en route to Kansas City. We're about 2 hours away. We're doing a road trip, Great Plains road trip. A Great Plains road trip to pick up hoodies for Mrs. Hoosier here. Yeah, I'm sure that's exactly what it was, Copperell. They used to be a highway that they designated into the interstate. They changed it up into the interstate that instead of building a bypass or a loop or a flyover or something around that interchange or that stop intersection, they just brought the interstate to a stop at a stoplight. Crazy. Two hours away from Kansas City. How's it going, Red Light? I'm not seeing you on the stream before. Thanks for coming by. I know you. I know who you are. I mean, I know of you anyway. Good to see you. Like I said, we're just road tripping since Monday. On our final point north from here will be Fargo, North Dakota, and then we're going to come back through Minnesota, Wisconsin, Chicagoland, and home. Road tripping for hoodies. We are picking up hoodies, or hoodie sweaters that Mrs. Hoosier and I started collecting many years ago. This is probably the only time we actually do the Great Plains states. Don't really have any other need to be in this side of the country except for hoodies. So we're about 8 hours away from home and about 2 hours away from Kansas City. Hey, Vintage Joe, good to see you, my dear. Welcome. I guess my signal's still there. People are still popping in here. Good to see you, Vintage. How you doing, dear?
Hazard reported ahead.
Hazard reported ahead.
Construction.
Mrs. Hoosier's phone's talking to us now.
Yeah, your car was talking earlier.
Yeah, I silenced her, though.
Nice trending.
Now, Vintage, we are road tripping. Still road tripping. We're about, like I said earlier, we're about 2 hours away from Kansas City. Northbound on I-49. Picking up hoodies along the way for the missus while she's taking pictures along the way. Not much to see here yet. I have a feeling it's going to look like this until we get north of Nebraska. Or north of Nebraska. It might start changing after we get that far north. No idea. We'll find out. No, thank you, Vintage. Yeah, we're we're not in a hurry, so we just drive until we don't want to drive anymore. Sort of what we did last night. We left from Louisiana last night, or yesterday afternoon, and we just drove north, went through Oklahoma, picked up a hoodie in Oklahoma, and we picked up a hoodie in Louisiana while we were down there. And then on our way, we took back. I wouldn't say back roads. They were local highways from Texarkana all the way north into Fort Smith, Missouri, or Arkansas, I mean. And we picked up hoodies in Oklahoma while we were in the state. And then made up to Fayetteville, Missouri, which is the northwestern corner of the state of Missouri. And then we left this morning from there and keep going north. Keep going northbound on I-49 here. We're going to stop there at Kansas City here in a couple hours, try out some Kansas City barbecue at a place called Joe's, which Foursquare says is a really nice place to go. It has lots of high reviews and lots of visitors. Pick up a Kansas City while we're there, and then keep going north to hit all the other Great Plains states all the way up to Fargo, and then we come back in through Minnesota and then down to Wisconsin and home. All in all, we're about, by the time everything is said and done, we're going to have about 2,600 miles on the car today. Hello, Can Collectibles. Good to see you, my friend. Chris, how's it going, buddy? Hope you're doing well.
It's construction ahead.
Nice. Yeah. Enjoy the scenery. Well, if you want to call this scenery, it's very relatively flat. I'm hoping to get some really nice scenery as we keep going further north. That's the hope. Right now it's like very flat.
It's getting overcast.
They're 25 miles away. And we like road tripping like this, but this is about as far west as we will go when it comes to road tripping, because 8 hours on the road just to get to a destination, just to go further west, just doesn't make any sense. So once we get done with picking up all these hoodies, sweaters for Mrs. Hoosier here, once we get done picking up these hoodies, then from the Great Plains east, we pretty much have every state covered except for Delaware and New Jersey. We'll have to fly over there one of these days just to do that. And then all points west of the Great Plains, we're just going to fly to locations, travel the area with a rental car in those locations, pick up hoodies from each of the states west of here. We already picked up Colorado. I'm pretty sure we picked up. I might double check, but I'm pretty sure we have a Colorado hoodie, and we already have a hoodie in Hawaii from Hawaii. And then, like I said, we'll just fly to like Santa Fe, for example, pick up a hoodie in Santa Fe and drive around that area. Maybe meet up with Don in New Mexico one of these years. We'll see.
Probably fly to Alaska.
Or cruise. Yeah. Thank you, Can. Appreciate that. You do the same. Have a beautiful day, my friend. See you soon. Let's go. So if you guys haven't noticed, for every time we pick up a hoodie, I do a quick short with the missus in her hoodie. So check those videos out. They're shorts. They're like 50 and 60-second shorts. If we or if we go to a restaurant, I did a quick short there at the restaurant. Just to show you all our travels. I don't mind sharing with the community. It's all about the community. And Mrs. Susher's taking pictures of old barns
And silos.
and silos. You know what's funny? What's here is not really much more than what we see in Indiana.
Yeah.
It's not that much difference. I thought it'd be a lot more but it's just here as it is in central Indiana. Get out of the area before tornadoes start up tomorrow night. Well, I know Copperell, they were talking about some severe weather tomorrow night. Now, is it tornado severe? I don't know, but I know they were predicting severe weather tomorrow night. So we should be out of the area before then anyway. But I don't know if it's how severe. They're just talking. The Weather Channel was talking some storms blowing through tomorrow night sometime. All right, I got you, Copper. So tomorrow night's just storms and nothing super severe. Wrong time of year for that. All right. Well, like I said, we're staying the night here in Kansas City tonight, and we'll be out on the road early tomorrow. Try to get as many miles in tomorrow before I call it. The intent is to get as close to Sioux City or Sioux Falls, South Dakota as I can without stopping.
Oh, look, get your Dollar Tree.
It's going to be a big Dollar Tree, that mountain dirt.
You know it.
So yeah, the intent is to get north, as far north as we can from Kansas City tomorrow before I call it. Try to get all the way up to Sioux Falls in one go at it, and then either call it there at Sioux Falls or not going out tired, head on up to Fargo. It just depends on how soon we leave tomorrow morning and how long I want to drive. Copper hat, Al, I hope you just didn't jinx yourself by saying that. So the question there is, Copper House, can you actually see the tornado from your house 7 miles away? Looking at what I'm seeing right now, it's very flat. I could see you being able to see a tornado from 7 miles away out here. Sitting on the back porch, drinking lemonade, watching a tornado drive by or fly by. Be like another day in Kansas. Just another day, just another storm. Yeah, I got you, Copper out. Yeah, I imagine it's like, another tornado. Another tornado. And all the storm chasers getting their woodies on with chasing their storms. said, hey,
Just go to the front.
I'm going to put it on.
And it's I'm sure you've heard that one.
As long as I don't go off course, she won't say a thing. But when I get off course, she wants to correct me. Just cruising. Yeah, I remember that one. I remember hearing about that one there in Copper Out. We actually had a F5 not too many years ago in north of where I live at now. It went through a town called Henryville, Indiana, EF5, and it went through Marysville, Indiana. And Marysville, I don't think it no longer exists. It took out a lot of houses. Now Marysville is very rural. I don't know exactly how many houses were there, but I'm pretty sure the city of Marysville no longer exists there. It may be officially designated as a city, but I don't think there's anything that left there anymore. But Indiana doesn't get EF5 tornadoes, and that was an EF5 tornado, and it took out a elementary school, I believe, there in Henryville, Indiana, which is right off the interstate, right off I-65, and some TV show was coming back from filming. I think it may have been Ghost Adventures. They were coming back from somewhere, and they were at a truck stop there at Henryville, right off the interstate. And they actually had to take shelter in like a cooler because it went right overhead, really close to them. So they actually had film. They actually recorded where they were actually inside the truck stop, or may just make convenience or something like that. And they had to hurry up and get shelter, take shelter in the cooler, walk-in cooler until the storm passed. But yeah, EF5s do not occur in Indiana. I think I don't know when the last one was. The last major EF5 that I can recall is the Easter Sunday tornado that was way back. I can't remember how long ago it was, but it was many, many decades ago. That basically transversed the entire state, southern side of the state, I believe, which is about where we are, which is where we live at now. But that EF5 that went through Henryville, Indiana, 7 or 8 years ago, something like that. It was right before we moved down there. It's when it happened. We've been down there 6 years now, 7 years now, and it had occurred like within a year before we moved down there, and it did. It took out elementary school. The city of Marysville no longer exists. At least no houses there exist. There used to be a aviation vector radar right outside of Marysville. It took that aviation navigation software system. It destroyed that navigation aid. VAR vector antenna radar system. It took out that system. I know that because if you ever look at Google Maps, you can see where the VOR used to be. It's gone. It's just a big old empty site now.
Helicopter.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, Indiana gets their share of tornadoes, but they're usually EF0s, EF1s. That's typically what we see around here. They drop down for just a few miles and they're back up into the air. We actually had one where we used to live at many years ago. We actually had one drop down basically right behind our house because it took out basically the shelf cloud or whatever funnel basically went over our house. So I was at work, but Mrs. Hoosier was home, and we had an old maple tree that was in the backyard that basically got twisted off of its trunk. You can clearly see where the tree was twisted, and then so the tree got twisted off of its trunk, landed into the cornfield next to the house. So we were fine, but you can clearly see where it got twisted, and then behind our house, maybe 50 yards or so was a woods. You can see where it dropped down into the woods and took out trees in the woods. That's how close we got. And Mrs. Fisher called me and said or told me that the sky turned green when that tornado flew overhead. It's either because that storm was that close to the ground, or it was debris, one of the two, from being picked up before the house. But it basically went right over the house, twisted off the tree trunk, off the tree out of trunk, and then dropped down into the woods right behind us. And then it went back up in the air. That's it. That was the only damage there was. So we got very lucky that day. And then everything from behind the house east from that point was all woods. So there was no damage to property or lives or anything like
There
that.
was a church that was damaged.
There was a church.
Brea Church.
Brea Church got damaged. Okay.
Yeah, the steeple got knocked off.
Okay.
And then that road that runs along it to Highway 59.
Yeah.
Some of the homes there got
Oh, that's right. Yeah. So there was some damage, property damage. So it was down on the ground for probably 2 miles, 3 miles. All right, Cupper out. Take care, bud. We'll be here for a couple more hours. See you later, buddy. Green sky equals hell. That's what Copper House is. See, I was working that day when that happened. I remember that. Hello, Gilbert Rogers. Good to see you, buddy. How's it going this afternoon? Thanks for coming by, hanging out here a bit. We're about an hour south of Kansas City, en route to Joe's Barbecue near the south side of downtown Kansas City. Is it like a really heavy downpour type of rain, Gilbert, or is it a well needed shower type of rain? Nice, more than a drizzle, but not torrential downpour. That's something that's actually good for the land. Something that lasts for several hours and soaks well into the ground. That type of rain, or something heavier or lighter. Light rain. So is it going to be significant enough to help douse out the wildfires, or no? Do you think? Does it help it control the fires? Well, in that case, you'll take any bit that you can get. And hopefully, you get more and help get those fires under control. Get some moisture into the ground. So the game plan, Gilbert, is we're going to stay in Kansas City tonight, and then we're going to get as many miles as we can tomorrow north. The farthest northern point that we're going to go is Fargo, North Dakota. So I'm thinking we're going to stop probably depending on how well I travel tomorrow, the intent is to get as far north as we can, but I figure we'll probably end up stopping at Sioux Falls. Didn't you say that the eastern side of the Dakotas has very nice scenery? It's not until you cross over the Missouri River and then west out where you're at that it starts getting very arid. Is that correct? Is that a correct statement? Because Mrs. Hoosier has her camera with her. She's taking pictures, but Kansas, Missouri and Kansas, because we're basically on I-49. It's blah. Not a whole lot to really see here. The most irritating thing we've gotten so far on the camera is a barn in the shape of a mushroom of a morel. That's it. That's about the only irritating thing we've gotten so far on camera. So I'm hoping that as we get, I'm sure Nebraska's going to be the same way, but I'm hoping that once we get north of Nebraska, it will start getting a little bit more scenic. Good to see you on there. Hey, Gilbert.
Hello.
How's it going, Gilbert?
Oh, not too bad. I slept late. I'm watching my kids' dogs at their house, and she has a giant jigsaw puzzle.
Yeah.
So I was up till about 2 in the morning trying to figure this jigsaw puzzle out, and it's just a crazy one with splash colors, and you can't even figure it out.
2 a.m. is our typically our prime time since we go for night shift.
So you're headed for Kansas City?
Yeah, we're about an hour out from Kansas City now.
Yeah, and unfortunately, so you're on Interstate 29, right?
Yeah, 49, yeah.
Okay, yeah. There's not much to see on the interstates as you go north there. In order to see anything, you have to get off the interstate a little bit. But
yeah, it's well, when does it start turning scenic? I guess is the question. Is it anything north of Nebraska, or is it still rather flat, plain?
well, it's flat grassland. Nebraska has more natural wild grasses than anywhere in the world.
Right.
And it's just flat land. When you get to Nebraska, you follow the Missouri River north.
Right. Yeah.
And there's some places, but you would have to Google them. But you have to. It's all just interstate, and it's all pretty flat.
Okay. Well, we're definitely trying to get the miles in tomorrow. So we're leaving probably midday tomorrow from Kansas City, and we're going to get as many miles north as we can. Try to get up to Fargo in one shot, but we'll see. Eventually, we're going to stop going north as far north as Fargo, and then we're going to cut back through Minnesota and Wisconsin and home. So
that's where you're going to see. That's where you're going to see more stuff in Minnesota and Wisconsin than unless you get off road in South Dakota and Iowa, you don't see much. It's just
gotcha. Yeah, we're probably not going to do that. I do know that we are going to eventually get back up your way so we can check out Mount Rushmore, but not this time around.
Yep. No, from where
How far did you say Mount Rushmore was from you?
Oh, it's at least 4-hour drive. Or
No,
no, from me, it's just a 20-minute drive.
Okay, yeah. I thought you. I can't remember how far away you were from Mount Rushmore.
Yeah, it's like 25 minutes.
Okay. Yeah, it's like 4.5 hours for me.
Yeah, from Sioux Falls, it would be a 4-hour drive.
Yeah, we ain't doing that. We'll have to do another trip just to get to Mount Rushmore. And you know, when I do that, I might have to look you up so you and I can meet up.
Oh yeah. Now, from where you're at now, if you took a left and took Interstate 70 west across Kansas, you would be on the straightest road you've ever seen.
Oh, that sounds like fun.
Yeah, and lots of times the wind blows from the north straight south there. And so the whole way, it used to be when we didn't have power steering, you would drive that 3.5, 4 hours to Colorado, and you'd be pulling your steering wheel to the right the whole way because the wind would be blowing like 40 miles an hour.
Yeah. Yeah, that would be like.
You have to, when you go that way, you drive through the wheat fields.
So that sounds like even more fun than going north, huh?
Well, it's the craziest thing you've ever seen. I've driven that a few times, and from Kansas all the way to Colorado is just straight, nothing. Hardly any towns, it's just nothing. It's just straight.
Yeah. Yeah. You know what's crazy is we flew into Denver one time. I clearly remember everything being so flat. Denver's mile high, but relatively flat and then boom, right? You're right there at the foothills of the Rockies, and then boom, everything grows like within just a few miles.
Yep.
From nothing to mountains within just a few miles of one another.
Yep. When you drive west across Kansas, you can't wait till you see Pikes Peak because you know you're almost there.
Yeah. Well, we won't be driving that direction, but we will be driving north, so it won't be so bad. I don't mind road tripping though. I mean, we just get in the car and go. And we drive until we just don't want to drive anymore. So that's basically what this trip's about. I mean, we went as far south as Louisiana because we had to pick up that hoodie there in Louisiana, which we did, and then we picked up a hoodie in Oklahoma the next day, so we did that, and then we're just driving north from Fayetteville, Missouri right now. So, like I said, we're about an hour out from Kansas City now. Then we're going to call it here in Kansas City, call it early Kansas City today, and then we're going to leave probably midday tomorrow and drive as far north as we can, or drive as far north as I feel like driving. Then we'll just call it.
Yeah.
See, when last night I wasn't tired. I was just tired of driving, if that makes any sense.
Yeah.
So we got to Fayetteville. We just called it, but I mean, I didn't lay down for another 3 hours. I was still wide awake and not tired. So I know we could have made it up to Kansas City last night, but it was dark and I just wanted to see scenery, which there isn't much of any. But I thought we're just going to call it early last night, just to stop driving for a while, and then left about 2 hours ago from Fayetteville. We're going to stop by a barbecue joint there in Kansas City, and then we're going to go to a hotel.
Yeah, Kansas City has some.
Find a hoodie in Kansas while we're there.
Kansas City has some fabulous barbecue places.
Kansas City barbecue, try it out. She is telling us to go to a place called Joe's Barbecue.
Yeah.
And Mrs. Hoosier found Joe's Barbecue on a site called Foursquare. Everyone recommends that one. It's like it's like the second best place for barbecue in Kansas City. So that's what we're checking out.
Yeah, I've heard of them places. I've never been there.
And then Steve Wood recommended have us being positive reviews. But Joe's Bar, Google had like over 11,000 reviews on it, and it had like 4.8 stars out of 5. So a lot of positive reviews. So that's definitely one we're checking out today.
Yep, and they'll be good.
So I figure we get there somewhat early, because if it's that popular of a barbecue restaurant, if it's like any other popular barbecue restaurant, the food doesn't last all day long. They probably run out of food after so long, I would imagine, especially on a weekend.
Well, they shouldn't really run out, but at certain times of day, they're really busy, some of them places.
Yeah, I figure we have a better chance going there in the middle of the afternoon than in the evening time. So I know when we did our Texas barbecue run a few years back, when I was researching places to go, there were plenty of joints down through there that they were so popular that they would run out of food within 2 hours of opening. So I'm going to try to avoid that today.
Yeah, I don't think they'll run out, but they might be really busy.
Yeah. Well, she found a picture from from the barbecue joint that we're going to, and it was pretty much packed with people.
Yeah.
So have you found a rock crusher yet to start extracting some of that gold up there in the Black Hills?
No, I'm going to Sioux Falls for Thanksgiving, and I'm going to have my cousin's son. They own a welding business, and they build trailers and all kinds of stuff. So I'm just going to have him get me a hand crusher. He can build one for $25, and they're like $100 online.
Wow, that's a good deal.
But that'll just be a little
hand crusher or motorized?
No, that'll be a little handheld one. And then if I can find some sources to find good crushable rock, then I'll think about, because see, to buy even a small crusher, it's like $3,000-4,000.
Wow.
It's crazy. The prices on everything are crazy.
Well, speaking of that, we stopped for lunch earlier. $19 for 2 meals at McDonald's.
Oh yeah, it's crazy.
Well, we can remember when the combos, you can get 2 combos for less than $10. $8. And that wasn't that long ago. It's just, here we are.
Well,
We could we've seen the inflation coming now.
yeah, because see, I'm 70, so we had hamburgers for 20 cents when I was a kid.
Yeah. Well, I remember there used to be this old hamburger shop where I used to live at. We used to be able to get little small hamburgers for like 20 cents. That was only like 30 years ago, 40 years ago.
We had a mom and pop shop where they had the slop burger. They called it the slop burger, and it was huge, and that was like 40 cents.
It's just the idea that the combos, just inflation starting to set in. And, I was talking about this earlier with Don in New Mexico when he was on earlier, and Barbara. I probably would have seen the inflation. I probably wouldn't have correlated to inflation, but I probably would have seen the inflation. But if I'd never gotten into this community, because I'm cheap that way, as Mrs. Sushi told me, I'm cheap that way. But at the same time, now that I've been in this community, and we talk about stuff like inflation, we talk about rising price-wise. Here we are now, and it's very prominent. It's very prominent now that we see it now. Like I said, I probably would have seen it anyway. I just wouldn't ever correlate it to inflation, but now I see it. It's like, oh yeah, we're definitely seeing the prices rise on everything now.
Well, it's all going to change, and it's going to be fairly soon. I know a lot of people don't believe that, but the money is going to flip back, and once they arrest all the bad people, can you imagine if we got paid back just for Social Security, all the money they've stolen?
Oh, you mean the social the program that they keep robbing from, and when I'm eligible for it, probably won't be around. You talk about that program?
Yep. But worldwide, see, this change that's coming from God is going to be worldwide. It's because the central banks have been taking over countries and just basically putting them in debt for 150 years. Whenever they want to take over another country, they start a war, and then you have to borrow money from the central bankers to run the war, and then they set up a central bank where you owe them in their country.
Now, I know if you ever look through the history, it seems like most of your establishments, most of your governance, most of your hierarchies and your other governmental entities, anything that is established doesn't last more than 250 to 300 years. I mean, if you look through the history books, we're pretty much there now.
Well, empires rise and fall, and it's usually on money that empires rise and fall.
Yeah, nothing from a governmental entity point of view has never lasted more than 250, 300 years. Now, some people might say, well, what about the China, in their centuries? Well, China's had changes of their hierarchy too. They've had their dynasties come and go, but their dynasties only last anywhere from 250 to 300 years. So that's just how it works. There is no one particular earthly entity that lasts more than 250, 300 years, if you think about it. So, yeah, I think right, Gilbert. Once there is that reset, from that point of view, yeah, things will change, but it's going to be very difficult to get to that point. I think you're right that we will get there, but we got to go through a lot of period of pain and suffering along the way first.
Well, I think we're going to have a little bit of a bumpy ride, and but God's protection is over His people, and I think certain states will fare better than others.
Yeah, I think you're right there. I think the more sparsely populated areas, because they're still apt to being able to take care of their fellow neighbor, and they have their own local mom pop shops and their own local butchers, and, areas like that. Areas of the country that mainstream media considers poor will probably be the areas of the country that will flourish when that does occur, because it's not that far off from where they're at currently, if you think about it. So that you're looking at your local mom pop shops, local butchers, and your local stores that take care of the local community, and that's when it does happen. Everything's going to have to revert back to that way of life in order for people to survive. And it's going to happen naturally. It's going to be a natural, because that's just how we are in human nature.
Yeah, if you can imagine how patient God is, but every entity that has ever worshipped Baal and killed children, now we're up to about 65 million abortions in this country. And God is very patient, but every country that has ever done that has fallen.
Yeah, just a blink of an eye for sure, huh? Got something coming up on the interstate.
But still, we're the only country in the world ever to have a God-based constitution. But we need to come back to that. And the evil New World Order people in the world want to get rid of the United States, because we're the last bastion of hope.
Let's see. Just want us to slow down. Something's going on up there. Yeah, something's coming up on the interstate here, Gilbert. I may have to drop here in a little bit.
Yeah, I better go.
Yeah, we're about half an hour out from Kansas City, and all of a sudden everything's starting to slow down. So may have to get off here and focus on driving for a while.
Well, I hope you have a safe trip.
Well, thank you, Gilbert. I'll be back on tomorrow midday for however long we drive. So you can always come back by and say, hey, hang out for a while and watch the road go by like we are right now.
Okay, God bless you.
All right, Gilbert. You have a good day, my friend. We'll talk to you soon.